When doing a picture, I may sometimes need to apply a border, so I quite often use masking tape. Nowadays there are a lot more low tack tapes available, so I purchased a few to see if there was any difference, and thought that I would do a short review to see which one, if any, was best. This video is not sponsored by any of the companies mentioned in it, and all the products were purchased by myself. I have a low tack tape from Mammoth, two from FrogTape, one being delicate surface and the other multi-surface, and a delicate surface tape from Scotch. The Mammoth looks and feels the same as regular masking tape, just slightly less tacky, and is the cheapest of the four. Normally I would not press the tape down as firmly as I am, but I wanted to see how easily the tape could be removed at the end of the test. The FrogTape Delicate feels less tacky than the Mammoth and has a smoother feel to the surface as well as feeling thinner. The FrogTape Multi-Surface is definitely more tacky than the Delicate and has a rougher, thicker feel to it. The Scotch Delicate feels very smooth and thin, but is a little more tacky than the FrogTape Delicate. I use a 9B pencil and work over the tape onto the paper to avoid accidentally lifting the tape with the tip of the pencil. This is how I would use the pencil normally when doing this on a picture. I have put a link in the description below to another video that I have done on creating borders and backgrounds, so why not check that one out after this one. The next thing that I do is to use a piece of cotton wool with graphite worked into it. I use this for grey or dusty backgrounds, working it over the tape in a circular motion. This will show how well the tape has sealed along the edge. I now remove the tape. The best way I've found to do this is to pull the tape back against itself, and I do this very slowly and carefully. As you can see, the Mammoth does have a nice clean edge, but it does feel as if some parts have stuck more than others. And you can also see that it spread some graphite dust back onto the paper when it was removed. The FrogTape Delicate again had a nice clean edge, was quite easy to remove, and it had attached to the surface evenly and produced no graphite dust on removal. The FrogTape Multi-Surface attached a little bit firmer to the paper, but was still relatively simple to remove, with a nice clean edge and no dust. The Scotch Delicate performed the same as the previous two, with a sharp edge and no dust, but attached to the paper a little bit more firmly than the FrogTape Delicate, but less so than the Multi-Surface. I would never recommend leaving any tape on longer than necessary, therefore avoiding any chance of the tape removing the surface of the paper. It is also worth mentioning that none of these products are specifically designed for this purpose. Although the Mammoth was the cheapest, it is not the one I would use. I felt it was like regular masking tape, and as such would be worried about it removing the surface of the paper. It also deposited graphite back onto the paper when removed. I would be quite happy to use either of the FrogTapes, as they both performed well and were easy to remove. My personal favourite was the Scotch Delicate, as I felt it had the right amount of adhesion to the paper. But as I said, any of these three works well, and they are all similarly priced. I have put a link in the description below if you are interested in any of the products mentioned in this video. I hope this has been useful, and I will see you in the next one.